Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Arden, and today we're talking about Bad Idea Comics, a new publication line that Andally was handing out this fun little promotional module. I just got that with my pull a while back and decided it was time to go through it a little bit and talk about some of these books coming out in the future. Heavy Smoka, right out of the gate. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, so we're just going to talk about some of these books because to be honest, I do get quite a bit of promotional material from indie companies and that sort of thing, but less often in print form. Handy tip for people out there: it's way easier for me to just have this lying around than something on my email inbox and want to review it at some point. They were just also just giving this out to customers. This wasn't a reviewer thing either. And on top of that is, as I was flipping through this, there's a bunch of stuff I'm pretty curious about. A lot of this features, a lot of these series that this new publication line is publishing is featuring some pretty big names and award-winning talent. People like Marguerite Bennett, who I've had the privilege of meeting in person before. Zeb Wells, another excellent writer who's done like a bunch of stuff for Marvel. And like David Lapham as an artist, I'm seeing here. There's a bunch of names. Oh, Ramon Villalobos. I butchered that pronunciation, I think, but that's another excellent artist. So overall, it's a fun blend of stuff. But let's go through the series specifically because that's where I really started to get more excited. The first up, and the one that they seem to have most defined, it's the one that features most of the artwork you're seeing here, is Eniac. 77 years ago, the United States unlocked the key to defeating the Axis powers, the atom bomb. But in their desperation to end the war, they created a far more powerful threat, the world's first supercomputer, Eniac, electronic, numerical, integrator, and computer. Today, the Secretary of Defense has just given two covert operatives the most important mission in human history: kill Eniac. And my favorite image in all of that is this guy right here. Just some dude, like with all these tubes horribly implanted into him, frozen in some sort of scream. Looks like a creepy series. Shadowcatcher, thanks for joining us as well. So that one looks cool, and I think it's their first out of the gate. They have the it'll be coming out March 21. Tankers, though, is the next series, and it's the one I'm actually most excited about. Written by Robert Venditti, who y'all might know from DC, and he's had some good stuff over there. Okay, I skipped over the artist last time, but Juan Jose Rip does the art and covers, and Andrew Dahlhaus does the coloring. Sorry, I should say art for the Rip. It's like, I guess, just 3 issues long. I just read, but it's like some of these black and white images. Oh, focus camera, you can do it. It kind of shows it. There we go. So that's like a mech battling a bunch of dinosaurs and stuff like that. Greenleaf Oil has discovered a terrifying secret. The planet only has a decade of petroleum left before it's gone forever. So they've perfected the next best thing: time travel. Duh. So that a team of 6 field rat contractors armed to the teeth in customized mech suits can go back to the Cretaceous period, tweak the trajectory of the meteor that killed the dinosaurs, and give mankind another 500 millennia worth of oil reserves. What could go wrong? Only all of human history. So that book sounds amazing. Shadowcatcher says, wow, the artwork looks amazing and the black and white looks solid. If you're talking about the image that's right there, that's for a different series we'll talk about in a little bit. But that is also true of Tankers. And I love that premise. It's an interesting little commentary on, oh, there's nudity in that image. Dang it. Hopefully YouTube doesn't catch wind of that, but I'm going to quietly remove that from the slideshow. That's funny. I mean, I'm cool with it, but YouTube sure isn't. Alright, well, whatever. I didn't notice it until just now. Anyways. Try3 says, hey, that does sound like an interesting premise. Yeah, exactly. Like, take aside like the little political thing I was saying, like just traveling back in time and messing with the trajectory of Earth's meteor so that they can get more oil in the future. But then that obviously having huge ramifications for Earth history far before humanity ever evolved. It's fascinating. There's so much potential there. Maybe the dinosaurs never quite got wiped out, and then all of human civilization would be like colored differently with animals around. So like Jurassic Park, but if all of like the timeline was erased, that's only ever really been done in like kids movies before. So, anyways, it sounds interesting. And then after that, kind of gets into something completely different. This is by Matt Kind, who I think also wrote the Eniac. Yeah, he also did the Eniac series. Oh, and by the way, Doug Braithwaite did the artwork that you're seeing there. Big name there. Vaguely familiar. Or Braithwaite. That's it. I hope I'm not remembering the things I'm remembering correctly about that dude. Let's just move on. But Whalesville looks like a lot more of a softer kind of indie title. The kind of thing you really don't see out of like Marvel or DC. And I don't even know if it's not my particular cup of tea. Because it's got like a very kind of soft coloring and it looks very just sort of a surreal and colorful book. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, it's not my personal thing. But when young Huawei is thrown overboard and swallowed by a whale, he knows his father will endlessly pursue the creature that stole away his boy. What he didn't expect, however, is what he is about to find inside. The town of Whalesville, a colorful, cobbled-together village inhabited by an astounding collection of talking sea creatures. That's just a one-shot on sale in May. And, like I said, it doesn't look like my particular thing. It's just like kind of a goofy little side story. But that gets into some of the variety that this publication line is offering. Like, this isn't just a horror line or anything like that. This is a pretty full-fledged line with big names and a huge roster of pretty interesting stuff. Because right after that is something up my alley, and that'd be horror. It's a series called The Lot. 4 issues and this one's written by Marguerite Bennett, so I'm like, that's an added level of excitement because that's a writer who I've read before and like. And Renato Guedes, and I also have a signed book from her somewhere because I got to meet her at a fan expo in Toronto, who does the art and covers. And this is also a black and white one that looks friggin' awesome. Here, I'll share some. I know you guys don't love when I do this, but I wasn't able to get digital images of this thing. I will say it was cool of Bad Idea Comics to put out this little promotional thing. It would have been cooler if I could have picked up more of this stuff online and even to get more information about this company online, because who's behind it, what it's about, I don't know. The back of this book says they're from LA, and that's about all I have for Yell. And it would be nice to know a little bit more. They are like a group of all these creators we're talking about here, kind of coming together to form this publication company. What's going on? I don't know, but that's why it helps to have a press page on your website, and that is just a helpful tip for everyone out there got any sort of company that has any sort of media relations. Just a friendly tip. A lot of other companies are good about that. Anyways, sorry. Random digression. It's my only one bit of criticism about this stuff, though. Everything else I'm pretty excited about. So, The Lot. In 1970, a legendary filmmaker began production of his latest horror masterpiece on the lot of Los Angeles's. On the lot of Los Angeles's Cloverleaf Studios. See, that's a slip up on my part. Cloverleaf Studios, not Cloverfield Studios. That'd be funny, though. Obsessed with bringing authenticity to this genre, he insisted on casting real-life occultists to perform genuine satanic ritual live on camera. Then something went horribly wrong. In the bloody aftermath, the production was shut down, and the soundstage was shuttered. Until today. And accompanying that is a bunch of what I almost thought was zombie imagery, but as I looked closer, it's like a woman being bifurcated and like sliced into little bits by seemingly nothing, a guy like slowly decaying but walking around, and a woman who just starts devouring a rat or a baby or something. So it's a really weird and bizarre series of images. Red 3 says, yeah, I'd never heard of this publication before. Well, that's because they're brand new in their defense. Like, they're starting out. And I gotta say, a great way to start out is to just print a million of these modules and distribute them to everyone who buys comics, which is what they seem to have done. That was smart. Especially, like I said, a print copy. You probably wouldn't have bothered talking about this if this was just emailed to us or something like that, to be honest. I get a lot of that. The list of stuff to talk about with that regard is very long. Um, but, oh yeah, so we didn't talk about... So the lot sounds awesome. That's a really cool premise for a story, and I was thinking about it as like, so these people are returning to the studio, and it could be anything. Like, there's very clearly mysticism is on the table. I thought it was zombie stuff, and that's still kind of very possible, but it's potentially a lot more than that. So that sounds cool too. Those, the lot and tankers, are the ones that really stand out to me as two highlights from this little promotional module, and the ones I'm most excited about. Next up is Zeb Wells' series called Sleigh Bells. It's art by David Lafuente and coloring by Ulysses Areola. I think. Not how you normally spell Ulysses, though. Every Christmas Eve, so yes, this is a Christmas series. When does this come out? Oh, in July, as a one-shot. Okay. Every Christmas Eve, little Bobby Hamilton and his father rise at dawn for an early morning hunting trip. It was their favorite tradition until they accidentally killed a certain red-nosed reindeer. They should have known better. They shouldn't have tried to cover it up, because now, the Yuletide peace of a quaint Midwestern farming hamlet will forever be shattered as Santa Claus comes to town to reap the sweetest gift of all, vengeance. And there's some pretty bloody imagery attached to this thing. And the cover is Santa kind of using some sort of SMG there of some kind. And, oh, two. He's dual wielding now that I'm looking closer. It's very cartoony, but kind of reminds me of, like, I don't know, a nice mix of wacky stuff. Next up is Megalith. There's actually nothing told us to us about that other than this is another book by Matt Kint, who seems like a pretty big part of Bad Idea publication, or comics, I should say. And that's the image in black and white that you keep seeing flash by here. And it looks cool, too. All it says is pretty big action, and then in brackets, not necessarily in that order. And I don't know if you could tell by the way I read that, but there's a period after each word for pretty big action. So the imagery is like that crazy monolith that we're seeing right here, but also, okay, I can't even really describe it's like some sort of fleshy dragon-like being, and then the other ones are probably too small to really pick up on my camera, but there's some really surreal imagery of space battles and soldiers from the past charging towards cliffs accompanied by image of like DNA strands, and then these weird monster-like creatures floating in space. It looks really interesting. And then the last one that we really get any details about is called Odin's Eye. Odin is spelled with two N's. It says, whoa, this one is pretty freaky. And it says in brackets, wish we could tell you more about it, but not quite yet. Joshua Dysart is the writer, Thomas Guerrero is the artist, and Diego Rodriguez is the colorist. That one isn't even on the little schedule they have at the back of the book here, so that's way farther down on the horizon. I don't think even Megalith is on here either, no. So they have plans beyond, the farthest we get is July of this year. And that's when The Lot and Sleigh Bells comes out. Tankers comes out in April. And then Whalesville comes out in May. Tankers, I think I definitely want to check out personally, along with The Lot. Odin's Eye looks pretty interesting. It's very Norse. We'll go with this image here. So if you can't tell, like, that's Odin doing stuff, yelling at someone or something, and then it looks like some troll standing over the Rainbow Bridge, or alternatively a troll farting out the Rainbow Bridge. But I think it's more, oh, maybe it is that. I have no idea. So it's like a very dark take on the Norse mythology. I wouldn't expect typical Thor stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Thor and like under Jason Aaron and stuff has definitely walked the line that we are walking here. So I'm not as excited about it as I am some of the other titles. But beyond that, there's this whole idea of other books that we don't even really have titles or details about, and just some of the names I threw out earlier on that you didn't hear of, including David Lapham and like I see Brendan McCarthy here, Robert Gill, a bunch of cool people, and some really weird stuff. I see a giant hedgehog monster, uh, pirates or something. And David Lapham's book is interesting. It's like some sort of weird, like half android, half synthetic human that these scientists seem to be working on. Anyways, really cool stuff. And if you guys are interested, these are kind of coming out across 2021. It's one of those things where you might actually have to pre-order from comic book stores, which is almost impetus on me to maybe order something now that we've done all this preview or whatever. But which is a shame because I'd rather just pick it up. But that's pretty normal for books like this. Sometimes your local comic book store might not be carrying a lot of these copies, but I say go for it. It seems interesting, and while indie books are great for giving new talent a chance and stuff, and there are names on here I've never heard of before and such, having the backing of some names with a bit of heft to them, like Bennett and Zeb Wells, that sort of thing, I do think kind of gives this new company a little bit of credibility and makes me more excited about some of these series. So I don't, that's not that, but and then that paves the way for these guys to publish new names and ideas in the future. But some of this stuff looks cool, and they are based in LA, so I'm sure a lot of this is like kind of maybe developing ideas for studios and stuff to maybe pick up on in the future. But there's a lot of potential, especially because everything we've talked about is either like one shots or mini series. So yeah, that's a cool side of it too. Like tankers and the lot really have a lot of potential for not only just being good and interesting in and of themselves, but being explored in future series and also in adaptations. So I got pretty excited reading this thing, to be honest. It's a short little module thing. Now, I haven't read Chad in a while, so yeah. um, Try 3 says, well, to be honest, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, the atmosphere wasn't suitable for humans because of oxygen levels. Is that true? I know that's true of primordial Earth, but I figured about, I don't know either way for sure. You'll forgive me for not immediately taking your word for it, though. But Try3 says that's why the animals were all so big. Well, that can't be interesting. There's a lot of physics behind that, and basically, like, okay, we don't need that, but anyway. I was gonna point out the blue whale is the largest animal that's ever been, but we're not gonna. Whatever. Um, Maybe that's why they're in giant mech suits. But there's probably a couple reasons why they're in giant mech suits. To be fair. Try3 says getting Drive Angry vibes from this comic. If you ever saw that movie, no. But if other people who are watching this have, they've probably gotten some sort of like, yeah, it does sound like that movie or whatever it is. Drive Angry. It sounds familiar, but I have definitely not seen that before. Try3 also says they were really smart investment to print physical copies. Well, that's the other side of this. This is clearly a company with a little bit of money behind it. Like we reviewed other indie comics that do not have these resources, not only to not be able to print these because they're pretty much digital only, as they can't afford to print a line of comics anyways, or they can barely afford to do that. But you don't, unless it's like a shared ownership thing, you don't attract this much talent without being able to pay up. Somebody is investing. I will say that, or like either a bunch of creators are investing their time and money, or someone is investing money from the outside. Like I said, maybe to workshop some ideas for further like future adaptations for some studio, or maybe just that this is where it'd be nice to have known a little bit of context for this company. But regardless, I I definitely think like that's fine either way, but that like it is a next level kind of thing. Like it's not we're not at images level either, but we're kind of in between that and something like a crowd funded company. So it's kind of interesting in that regard too. I'll be curious to see. I would love to learn more about them and kind of what they're all about and stuff. Because I don't have context for it like Boom or Dark Horse and stuff, where you could learn or talk about a lot of those companies and their history and stuff and what they're all about. I don't know what these guys are all about, but perhaps we'll find out starting in March. um, Try Three says, "I like the genre bending from sci-fi to horror to Xmas." Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying that earlier. This they it reminds me of like they almost like filled a metaphorical shotgun of comic books, different types of stuff, and just sort of fired it and see what hits, kind of thing. Which I think is a cool idea. I was about to say is the way to do it, but I'm disavowing my own words there. Um, what I mean to say is, like, I like the idea. There are other companies out there that like really focus on horror or some other genre. It does box you in a little bit. Mostly a horror, there are companies like that, but I think it's better to kind of offer people a diverse roster of stuff. It would be very easy for this to kind of blur together a little bit into generic action or sci-fi, but I don't think anyone feels that way based on what I've talked about so far. Like we can all agree, like that's what I was saying earlier. There's a huge roster of very different stuff here, even along the lines of if we were just to look at horror, we have like more classic kind of monstery styles satanist stuff with the lot, then way weirder looking stuff with Megalith, which might not just be straight horror but also like epic and action. And then Eniac seems to be more heady, like kind of mix of sci-fi slash alt history sort of stuff, which is pretty interesting too. Let alone all the other, because all those new people from earlier were also from Eniac. So that book, uh, they tell us quite a bit, and there's a lot of images here, but they're all over the place. So I don't know what that one's going for, and that's why I'm not as excited about it in the sense of like I don't know what this is all about. We're gonna have to see, I guess, but it certainly looks interesting. Um, Pine 3 says, "Are they available digitally or only physically?" Well, according to their website, it did have some information, and it does say only available in comic book stores, which is interesting. Maybe that's just for now or something. I think that kind of gets into the spirit of this company because like that's not the norm for a lot of indie book series these days. Uh, I'm not necessarily against that though. So that's a cool side of it too. Like as of now, you can really only get these books in print. Kind of interesting. Uh, is there another company that's doing that right now? If so, I don't know about it. Shadowcatcher says, still trying to figure out how to get comics down here on the regular. Yes. Unfortunately, there's a lot of parts of the world where that's the case, and I don't have a lot to offer you because it's like you know how to get them broadly speaking. There's a million websites that can deliver them to you, but week to week, personally, I think there's really no other way to do it other than to have a local store. Anything else is too inconvenient or expensive. Maybe Amazon has some kind of deal with that, but it's gonna add up real quick. Or unless there's, like I said, some sort of bargain with Prime or something like that. So and that's just an unfortunate reality. There's so many communities out there across the world that it's just not feasible to have a comic book store remotely nearby where it can be a weekly journey. For me, it's gotta be like a 10-minute walk from here or something like that. So that helps. I often, well, we're on crazy lockdown right now, so I have to like, I can only come in on like 2 specific days, and then it's just like picking them up at the door. But uh, normally it's great. I go there whenever I want. And then even if I moved or something like that, there's like several other around me, including two and the same, like all owned by the same people, like know me now, which is weird. But it's and I'm lucky in that regard. But unfortunately, right now there's no real good solution other than digital. Digital's not bad. I am a Comixology member for a million reasons. Like I find it convenient, and there's all sorts of helpful bits to it, and you do get a lot of free books with it. Oh, food for thought. And then like because of the discount, I find it useful, even though I have the convenience of the store there. So unfortunately, like that is kind of the best option available to you right now, I feel. Or it's another similar site. I can't speak to that because you probably have more options than I do. Here in Canada, like we never had that DC access stuff or anything like that. I don't think. Um, or if so, it was a pain in the ass to do. I am familiar with VPNs, everyone. I just don't care to use them. I have a good one, but it's not a paid service or whatever. But I think it works for most stuff. It's just it's a pain in the butt. I haven't actually tried it for something like Netflix. um, so Shadowcat. Oh right, I read that one. But Shadowcatcher also says Nicholas Cage Drive Angry, cool movie. Well, to be fair, I've seen quite a few Nicolas Cage movies, but it's probably a drop in the ocean. So that you did kind of jog my memory with that comment. I was like, oh okay, yes, I have heard of that particular Nicolas Cage film, but oh well, here we are. Oh, Try Three says it's about him fighting a satanic cult, and also he's dead and escaped hell. Oh, it sounds like a much more broad version of Mandy in some ways. That's interesting. um, I liked Mandy. But it did not remind me of oh shoot, what's it called? Oh, The Lot. But maybe it does there. Anyways, I think we'll leave it there because we're just circling back to The Lot, which I was about to say. It sounds cool. That one's exciting. But thanks for watching, everyone. It was nice. We got some pretty supportive people there, so maybe we got a few new fans of this company, and that's great. Obviously, I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I found this book, and then half of the stream I complained about how difficult it was to find more information about them. So, but otherwise, their ideas look cool as hell, and like the actual comic stuff is great. So that almost makes me think it is a little more creator owned. If they're less like if the problems are a little more on like how their website works and actual comics are great, maybe it is like kind of a pseudo image thing where the a bunch of creators are coming together. And if so, well, that's the coolest possible option. That then it's just like ideas being thrown out there, and who knows what we can get. That has all the potential of image out there because there really doesn't have to just be one image like company. If anything, I can think of many reasons why it would be beneficial to have more than one indie darling. And of course, I should mention before we sign off, like there are hundreds of other companies like this. That idea kind of, I was about to say caught a lucky break, but no, they promoted this in a way that compelled me to stream that other companies haven't, um, which is good for them. But that being said, there are a lot of really cool companies. Like we reviewed something from like Scout Comics last year, and a bunch of other like of those smaller kind of companies like this. You kind of find gems every once in a while digging around through these. You can also find real stinkers sometimes, and that can be really fun too. So who knows what we'll get next time? And I think that's a good note to end things on. Tomorrow, New Mutants. I finally saw that movie and worked out a time with my sister to, as promised, stream that with her because I don't know, for some reason we agreed to do that. So, oh boy, gonna be interesting. I was just thinking about my experience watching the movie, and that was my reaction to it. So that's interesting. By three says that's true. The stronger the indie market, the better the industry is. Yeah, for every reason, between there being competition, to it potentially helping to address some of the problems that have cropped up from image over the years. But we're not going to talk about that right now. That's the topic of like a long ass video at best. So Yeah, let's move on, and we'll see you guys next time here on Comic Island.